I spent 4 years of my honours degree solving problems with perfect equations, simplified models, and blue sky assumptions, but it only took 1 week in the industry to realise the real world is messy. After 3 years in the energy sector, here are the three critical lessons I wish I would have known back in the lecture hall because they would have changed completely how I studied. Hi everyone, I'm Jack, and in just 3 years, I went from a clueless country kid to a senior engineer in the Australian energy sector. I've made a lot of mistakes getting here, so today I'm sharing three of the hardest lessons I've learned so far, starting with lesson number one, the clean sheet fallacy. The biggest lie we believe as students is that the industry is just university but harder. We assume that if we can design the perfect system on paper, we can build it in the real world. But here is the reality. University teaches you to design in a vacuum. So you start with a blank page, you make assumptions, you work in a controlled environment where the math always works out perfectly. In the energy sector, we almost never design from scratch. We're constantly retrofitting modern technology into 50-year-old legacy systems. It's messy. There are constraints you can't control, and the textbook answer usually doesn't work. So, does this mean university is a waste of time? Absolutely not. But the value isn't the content you memorize, the value is the system you build to learn it. If I could go back, I wouldn't obsess over getting the perfect answer, I would obsess over my process. How do I go about digesting complex information quickly? How do I organize my notes so I can actually use them later and apply them to different problems? Because the specific equations might change, but the process you use to solve problems, that's the exact same tool set you will use on day one of your career. Lesson number two, the smartest person in the room trap. In university, the game's pretty simple. Prove how smart you are. You write complex reports for professors who are experts. If you show complex derivations and technical masteries, you get the high distinction. You're rewarded for being the smartest technical person in the room. I took that exact mindset into my first job and I hit a wall. Here's the reality. The energy grid is just too big for one person to build and maintain. To get anything done, you have to work with landowners, project managements, construction teams, business analysts. Most of these people do not understand the extreme technical details of your work, and they don't need to. Your job isn't to prove you're smart. Your job is to translate your smart solution into something that they can use. If you can't communicate your idea to a non-engineer, your technical mastery is pretty useless. So, what would I change if I went back to university today? And that's two things. First, taking an entrepreneurship elective. Force yourself to pitch a technical idea to business students. It's uncomfortable, but it teaches you to stop selling the math and start selling the value. Second, volunteer for team leadership. Don't just do the calcs, step up to lead the group project. It forces you to stop focusing on the tiny details and start focusing on the bigger picture, and more importantly, how to get different people to work together to solve it. Lesson number three, the myth of knowing it all. Because university degrees are purposefully broad, covering everything from circuits to power systems, you graduate with this crushing pressure that you need to know everything to succeed. Let me be very clear, in the energy sector, that's purely impossible. The industry is just too big and it moves way too fast. If you try to master every step of the supply chain, you'll burn out. The level 10 engineers I work with, they don't know everything. Instead, they haven't mastered one thing and they have a working knowledge of the rest. Effectively what we call a T-shaped engineer. Take a substation planner. They know the substation inside out, but they also know just enough about distribution lines, protection systems, and what happens in the field to have an intelligent conversation with those teams. They don't just do the other person's job, they speak their language. So how do you prepare for this at uni? You need to get out of the library. If I could go back, I would have forced myself to go to every industry night, every Engineers Australia event, and every society meetup. Not to hand out resumes, but to ask questions to get to know people and what they do. Questions like, what does a protection engineer actually do? How does your team work with the planners? What would you recommend that I get involved in to upskill in the industry? That's effectively how you build out your knowledge base. And trust me, knowing who to ask is often more valuable than knowing the answer yourself. So here's the bottom line. University isn't about memorizing content. It's a sandbox where you learn how to learn. If you treat uni like a memory test, you'll struggle in the industry. But if you treat it like a training ground to build your problem-solving systems, you'll be miles ahead of your peers on day one. Now, knowing these lessons is great, but it doesn't matter if you can't get your foot in the door first. If you're currently hunting for that first internship or grad role, I broke down the 3 exact hacks I used to turn my internship into a full-time offer in this video here. Click that one next and I'll see you over there.